Hello, and welcome to the Alpha Male Podcast. What's up, Alphas? Today I'm going to entitle this one Manly Musings. Subtitle How Did We Get Here? Going to talk a little bit about culture, society, lies that are being pushed on us, and how to do what alpha males do, fight back. With that, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review of the podcast if you can. That'd be great. Also share. Share with your friends. If you think this podcast makes you a stronger, that's what alpha males do. They help other men be stronger. You see, fake alpha males, males that aren't strong, try and make themselves look stronger by making other men look weaker. Men with true strength, true honor, true power. They don't doubt it. They know it. And they use their strength to strengthen others. So share this podcast if you like it and you think it's helpful. Use it to help others. Share it. With that, I'm going to roll into the bio. Thought about cutting the bio out or putting it at the end, but I think that it's important, especially for new listeners, to know who is talking to them and why they should or should not listen to that person. The fact that I have a microphone is not a qualification. With that, I'll roll into the bio. If you want to skip, you can generally skip to about 3.5, 4 minutes in, and that should get you, if not pretty close to into the body of the topic. With that, first and foremost, I am a Christian. I make no apologies for that. It is first and foremost in my life, the greatest of all the commandments. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. I don't apologize for that. I am an alpha male, and as such I follow the ultimate male, the ultimate alpha male, the greatest man that ever lived, Jesus Christ. A little bit about my background. In addition to that, I am veteran. I've been to war. I served in both the United States Marine Corps in the infantry and the United States Army, both full-time and part-time National Guard. Joined at 17, went to war more than once. I also served in law enforcement. I worked as a police officer in LAPD doing patrol assignments and more specialized assignments, tracking down fugitives and those kind of jobs. Also served as a private contractor for the U.S. government in an agency I won't specify. By God's grace, He got me through all that alive and in one piece, both physically and mentally. Not because I deserved it, not because I was better than those men who didn't, strictly because God chose to have love and mercy on me. In addition to that, I started competition shooting even before I joined the Marine Corps at 17. I've been blessed to win more shooting competitions than I can remember, both rifle and pistol. Mostly pistol are most of my competition and championship wins, but I have also competed in muzzle loader, archery, shotgun, knife throwing, hatchet throwing. I've been very blessed with those talents, and I try and use them and multiply them. I've done quite a bit of hunting and outdoor, I guess we'd say survival type activities, hunting and fishing all over this beautiful country. I have been a professional hunter and guide. Not many people today can see they've been a professional, exotic, and big game hunter of things like bison and exotic animals, but I have been one, and I'm very blessed for that. I've also gone out into the wilderness, by God's grace, with a Bible and a shotgun, and not just survived, but thrived. Also a professional firearms instructor. For the United States Marine Corps, I was an urban warfare and desert warfare instructor under a Mojave Viper. I'm also a FBI certified firearms instructor and have been for a lot of years. I'm certified by some other 3-letter government agency, NRA certified instructor, and I have taught at one of the big name firearms shooting academies in the country. So I've been very blessed to win many competitions and be a shooting instructor for military, law enforcement, and civilians. I have served as a commander of a tactical team. My current full-time job is as the leader of a tactical team. Primary mission is to stop active shooters in a fairly large metropolitan area. Alright, enough about me and my bio, guys. Let's get into today's topic. Let's talk about... Alright, alphas. So how did we get here? How do we get to where we are now? I would submit, first and foremost, we turned away from God. The first of all the commandments, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. That's what Jesus said is the most important, the greatest commandment. I don't argue with Jesus. We stopped making God number one, I would submit, and we've slowly started to make ourselves number one. It's not what God says is right and wrong, it's what we want. That's what's good or bad. It's not what God says is good or bad, it's what we say is good or bad. That's not so. For it is written, "You shall not do," as we are doing here today, every man doing whatever is right in his own eyes. God knows. He knows that we want to justify the things that we want. But it says right there very plainly, don't do as you are doing whatever is right in your own eyes. You don't get to determine what right and wrong is. The author, the creator, the maker says what's right and wrong, and you don't get to change it just because you don't like it. And I think that's one of, if not the root, turning away from God is always the root. If you look at all sin, it's disobeying God. You can kind of boil it down to, I know what you're telling me to do, but I'm going to do what I want to do. Just because you want something to be true does not make it true. Just because you want something to be good doesn't make it good. And I think the things that we want to be true, the things that we want, we should question those the most because we're most inclined to justify them even if they're not true. I would really like it to be true for Oreos to be healthy, but they're not healthy. And they're not going to be healthy. Low-fat Oreos are not healthy. They're not going to be healthy. Just because I want that to be true doesn't make it true. Single men out there, you may want to believe that there's this woman that you really like and she doesn't like you or care for you now, but if you do this thing or do this sacrifice for her or do this and that you can do this thing and make some girl love you. But that's not true. Just because you want it to be true doesn't make it true. There's lots of things like this. You could be born a certain way and wish it were different, but it's not. Some things you're born into and you cannot change them. You could be born a certain way and wish all you want that you were something different, but you're not gonna be. It's just not true and it's not going to be true. Just because you want it to be true doesn't make it true. It just means you're living a lie. Question: how do you know? For it is written, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. The truth is given to you. Now, I said first and foremost, I'm a Christian. I don't apologize for that. The Word of God is written. It is true. What is good is good. He says what is good. And what is bad, He says is bad. And no matter how much you want to change that, Jesus says, heaven and earth will pass away, but not one jot, not one tittle, not one little piece of the law will pass away. Just because you want something to be true doesn't make it true. Not all sexual desires are good and healthy. Some of them are wrong and disgusting and an abomination. And because you want them to be good and pure and just as good as something else, that's not true and it's not going to be true. And just because everybody else turns a blind eye and tries to pretend like it's true and good and healthy does not make it so. This whole big is beautiful thing, that doesn't make it true. I'm not saying, and I'm certainly not saying, that you're any less of a human being or anything like that if you're, grossly overweight. But if you're grossly overweight, that's a problem. It's unhealthy. And you pretending like it's not doesn't make it true. It's not like if you believe it's healthy, that's certainly, doesn't give you a higher risk for heart disease or dying from COVID or this thing or that thing. There's a certain point where extra weight is unhealthy. And just like Satan does, is what he's doing in culture today. It's a half-truth. Like, yeah, you're still a valuable human being. You're still loved by God. You're still, made in the image of God. And you're always beautiful because you're made in the image of God. But that doesn't mean it's healthy to be grossly overweight. And it's never going to be just because you want it to be. I think that's one of the reasons how we got to where we are today. We think that because we want something really bad to be true, that we can make it true, but you can't. The truth is the truth. The truth doesn't change no matter how much you want it to change. No matter how much you want 2 plus 2 to be 5, it ain't gonna be 5. It's always gonna be 4. You want this thing to be true. Another reason how we got here, one of the great lies. How did we get here where we are in society with these gender roles being distorted and perverted? And to pervert means to go away from the original. Like I said, you may want something to be true, but it's just not true. that a woman can do everything that a man can do equally as good, or that a man can do everything that a woman can do equally good. That's not true. Men and women are different. They are made different. And you cannot like that, but that doesn't make it not true. It is true. No matter how much I want to, I'm not going to have a baby. I'm a man. That's not going to change no matter what label I put on it. I am a man. I was created a man. I didn't pick that. I don't get to change that. I'm a man. I'm never going to be able to have a baby. I'm never going to have two X chromosomes. I have an X and a Y chromosome. And all the wishing in the world isn't going to change that. Nor would I want to. I'm a man. I'm an alpha male. I don't apologize for what I am, and you shouldn't either. It's part of the perversion is that you don't need strong men anymore. You don't need warriors anymore. You don't need strong, dominant, protective, providing males because a woman can do it. We have this crazy thing where we idolize, single moms and single parents moms, one family household or one parent households rather. And it's an honorable thing. Like if the man dies and the woman is left destitute, that she steps up and takes care of the family. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is it's almost thought of as more brave for a woman to be out on her own taking care of a kid. And that's seen as good or better than your nuclear traditional family, the way it's created with a father and a mother. But it's not. That's a plan B, not a plan A. Fathers are good and healthy for the raising of children. It's been that way all throughout history. That's true. And it's not going to stop being true just because you want it to be. Like if somebody has to be a single mother, that's fine, but you shouldn't idealize it. You shouldn't idolize it. And it's not right if a woman does that to think that she's somehow better if she just gets rid of a man because she doesn't want them anymore. And I think we kind of push that on this perverted gender role society thing that we've had going on for a couple of decades. Of course, a woman that has to take care of a child alone and she steps up and does that, if that's what has to be done, that's a good thing. And of course, she should take care of her child, but it shouldn't be idolized. It shouldn't be subsidized. It shouldn't be encouraged. It should be, like I said, a plan B. You tell this lie that, strong men aren't valuable, dominant men aren't valuable, violent men of war are not valuable. But that doesn't make it true. There's a saying, I don't know who first said it, I've heard it a lot. Certainly I didn't come up with it, but it rings true. Strong men make good times. Good times make weak men, and weak men make hard times. No doubt you can look around and see part of that cycle happening today, but that doesn't mean that strong men aren't valued. One of the guys that I know, and I would definitely consider him an alpha male, he says a thing that, warriors aren't valued right now in today's culture. But that doesn't make them, just because people don't see the value, that doesn't make them not valuable. Warriors have always been valuable. There's a saying, and I'm not sure the exact quote, but it's something like, nobody appreciates a warrior until the wolves are at the door. You heard a little bit about my bio, and I live in a pretty violent world. I see violence all the time. It's not uncommon to get in physical altercations, either myself or the men under me. It's not uncommon. But here's the thing, you live in that same violent world. You just not focus on it. You just might not encounter it all the time, but it's still there. Violence is a thing. And I don't have the numbers to back it up. You could probably research it. By the mouths of 2 or 3 witnesses, a matter is established, the Bible says. But look up and see if violent crime hasn't been on the rise since COVID, since all these things. Since shutdowns, the riots, the looting, the violence. It certainly seems in my line of work. I've seen things that remind me of much more war-torn places that I've been to and seen than I'm used to seeing in America. And who knows whether that'll go up or down. But when the wolves are at the door, people remember and realize the value of a strong, dominant man that knows how to wield violence and has self-control and only wields it when it's appropriate. But when it's time, he brings it. Going back to the perversion of the gender role reversal, we see a perversion in this. A lot of people disregard the Bible as not applying anymore, as not being true. They replace it with some other new age garbage or with science or something like that. I'm not saying anything bad about science. I'm saying there's only one truth. And science is only true as long as it lines up with the one who made the laws of nature. the ultimate truth. People disregard the Bible as not being true, and a lot of people, if they say the Bible is true, they disregard the Old Testament and say that only the New Testament is true or applies. But even if you believe that, 2 Timothy, very much the New Testament. I do not permit a woman to teach or to have authority over a man. Now, going back to what we talked about earlier about, children, especially young men, being raised by a mother only. I was pontificating about this with alpha males that I know, talking about how it seems strange today how so many men in a relationship will stand by and let a woman be in charge in some kind of romantic relationship. And hopefully it's a romantic relationship leading into marriage or marriage itself. But so many times a man lets a woman be in charge. And again, that's not right. Even because you want it to be true, that doesn't make it true. Many other places you can read in the Bible and the New Testament, in addition to what we just read, about how the man is the head. And that's true because God made it that way. That's the divine order. He made it that way. Men are to be the head of the marriage, the head of the family. Just because you don't want that to be true doesn't make it true. And we were wondering about how so many, young men today, adolescent men, are raised their whole life by a single mother, by a woman, and they're used to listening to a woman their whole life. And then when they become an adult, they just think that that's normal because they've been listening to a woman their whole life. They think that when they're a man, they're supposed to take orders from a woman or let the woman be in charge because they let a woman be in charge their whole childhood, and they just don't realize it. They don't step up into that man role of being in charge, of being dominant, being an alpha male. I was just wondering if that is the reason why. Because they don't have that strong, healthy relationship with a strong, dominant alpha male in the marriage, in the family, showing what it means to be a leader and to be in charge. So is it any wonder that you look around and seemingly see so many weak, non-dominant, non-alpha males? And it's sad. It's sad when you see a perversion of the truth. And you see, that's one of the great lies that society, that culture uses for this garbage. They say that for you to be strong, you have to make somebody else weak. That's not how that works. As we already talked about, if you're a strong, dominant, good alpha male, a true alpha male, then that strength only makes those men and women around you stronger and better. Somebody else doesn't have to be weaker for you to be strong. You don't have to take away from others for you to be stronger. When I go to the gym and make this body, these muscles stronger, better, that doesn't make the other men around me weaker. If they want to be strong or weak, that's on them. Don't get pulled down to being weak because the men around you are weak. Be strong. And you can get mad at the things that I say, but search your heart and see if you don't know it to be true. You know the truth. The word is very near you. It's written in your heart. And here's the thing that strong, dominant, God-fearing, God-respecting, truth-recognizing alpha males know. Because you're the head, because you're the dominant one, that does not make it okay to take advantage of a woman or belittle a woman or anything like that. You see, the Bible also says that we are servants. I am a servant of God. I am a servant of Jesus Christ. I am not my own. I was bought with a price. I don't do whatever I want to do. I am a servant of God. For it is written, even Jesus himself said, I did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give my life as a ransom for many. Being a true alpha male, being truly dominant in a marriage and a relationship with a woman, truly being the head, means providing for them, protecting for them, even when it hurts. It doesn't make them less than you. It doesn't make them less of a person than you or less of a human being than you. It's just the divine order. It's the right way. So many times we look around and get a wrong example of what a dominant, strong man is, but a strong, dominant man knows about suffering. Ask any good leader in the military, any good soldier, any good Marine, any good squad leader. They suffer for their men. They're not the kind of leader that takes advantage of their men so they can have it easier. They're a good leader, a good dominant alpha male, takes care of his men. That's true manliness. That's true alpha maleness. That's the right way of things. So be it. Be the man you were called and created to be, strong and dominant, protecting and providing. I'm very blessed to have a wonderful wife, and it takes strength to be submissive. It takes strength for me to submit to God. That doesn't make me weaker because I submit and obey God. And it doesn't make a woman weak when she submits to a strong, dominant man. My wife is not a weak woman. I generally don't talk about her a lot in the podcast because she doesn't like to really be in the public light. But my wife is strong. She's a strong woman. She's smart. She's got her master's degree. She's fit. She's a personal trainer. She's beautiful inside and out. She's not a weak woman. She's not a big woman in stature, but she's big in personality. It's not weak to serve others. It's strong. My wife is a strong woman. I'm a strong man. I submit to governing authorities because I'm told to do so. I'm not in the military now. I'm currently out, but I served in the U.S. Marine Corps and the U.S. Army. It doesn't make me weak to submit to a strong leader in battle. And it doesn't make my men any weaker than me when they recognize my authority and serve me every day. It doesn't make me weak to serve God. In fact, it makes me stronger. And of course, the strongest man that'll ever live, Jesus Christ, he himself said, I did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give my life as a ransom for many. And you had better not say that Jesus is weak. He's the strongest man that ever lived. And what did the strongest man that ever lived do? He made himself a servant. How have we gotten so lost, so twisted away from the natural, right order of things, the way things are supposed to be? So question everything, whether it's true or not, whether it's right or wrong or not. Know the truth. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. The truth is not a mystery. The truth is written in God's word. If you're confused, go to the one who has all the answers. Search the scriptures. It's written for you, an instruction manual for life. Don't get upset if you're confused about something. You can't put something together if you have the instruction manual right in front of you and you refuse to look at it. That's your fault. Don't believe the lies. Don't believe that because everybody else thinks it's true, thinks that something is true, because society or culture tells you that something is true or something is right or something is okay. That doesn't matter. It only matters that it is true. And you need to be the strong, dominant alpha male that stands up for what's right and what's true, not for whatever garbage somebody feeds you. That's what pigs do. That's what swines do when they're filthy. They gobble up anything put in front of them. You're a man. Be a man. Be discerning. Search the truth. Are you strong? Are you dominant? Are you an alpha male? Then act like it. Walk it out. Speak the truth. Likely this podcast may upset some people. This episode may upset some people. Tough. It's the truth. It's not going to stop being true just because you don't hear it. It is written, one day every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess. One day we'll all stand before the judgment seat. And the truth is going to be the truth. What popular culture said or what some celebrity said, none of that's going to matter. The truth will remain. And the truth will set you free. Alright guys, with that, I think that's a good place to conclude the main topic of the main part of this podcast. We'll just call it Manly Musings. Just a reflection, some introspection, some circumspection. Don't just accept things for the way that they are. Look at them and examine whether they are good or bad, right and wrong. And when something's wrong as an alpha male, you got to be strong enough to stand up and change it, or try and change it, or fight for it. Alright guys, if you like this podcast, you may like a few more. If you're into guns and gunfighting and stuff like that, check out Gunfighter Life. That's the main purpose of that. As you heard in the bio, I've been a professional gunfighter for the vast majority of my adult life, and I try and pass that knowledge on to others. So if that's something that interests you, check out Gunfighter Life. You can likely find that on whatever platform you're listening to this on. If you care about the really important stuff, check out Simple Man Sermons, the preachings of a simple man called by God to share the good news of Jesus Christ. The website that houses all those is goodshepherdtraining.com. You can check that out. If you're a more visual person, you can check out Good Shepherd Training on Instagram. If you'd like to support the podcast, if you think this message is good and should get out to more people and is a good message, I would appreciate the support. This podcast is free for you to listen to, but sadly, it's not free to produce and put out. neither in time or in money. So if you go to Patreon, that's the best way to support. If you want to support financially, go to Patreon. Just type in Good Shepherd Training in Patreon or type in the Alpha Male Podcast in Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can give $1. I mean, what's $1? A fifth of one expensive cup of coffee. So with that, you can help with this podcast and help support this podcast. And you can also get some insider content on there that you won't get anywhere else. And you can get that once again at Patreon. Just type in Alpha Male Podcast on Patreon. And if you don't have it in your heart to give, don't give and don't feel guilty about it. But like I said, it is good to share this podcast with other people. Send it to your buddies, send it to other men. Heck, even send it to a woman if you want. The truth is the truth for them too. But like, subscribe, comment, write a review. You want to contact me, the easiest way is just get on Patreon, sign up. If you don't want to continue to give $1 a month, just sign up for $1 and then unsubscribe. And you can ask me questions on there if you have questions about something, or if you want to suggest a show topic or something, you can do that on there. With that, guys, as a thank you to staying tuned to the end, I like to give a tactical tip. I'll do that at the end of a podcast a lot of times on here on Gunfighter Life. So today's an item, if you shop at Walmart, if you're into EDC, everyday carry, and stuff like that, this is an item that I found that is so worth the money. I'll usually buy them in batches. And it's the Ozark Trail headlamp from Walmart. I believe it's Ozark Trail. Anyway, it's a $1 headlamp. They're super small. They're super handy. They're LED. They last a long time. And when they start to get dim, I'll usually transition them over if I haven't lost them by then. And it's $1. If you lose it, no big deal, right? When they start to get dim, I'll transition it over and use it for like my Bible reading in the morning or at night when it's dark. Because generally for that, you don't need a lot of light. You just need enough light to light up the page. But they're the Ozark Trail headlamps. They also have flashlights for $1, which I have some of those too. But the headlamps can be used as a flashlight, and you can use them as a headlamp. You can't really use the flashlight as a headlamp. So the most utility are the $1 headlamps. They're LED. They're great for anything from gutting an animal at night in the woods, to reading your Bible in bed, to working on your car. I wouldn't want to use them to clear a room with a gun with somebody bad on the other side of that, but I'd much rather do it with that than with a cell phone. They're light, they're small, they're cheap. Put them in your pocket, especially if you're going out at night. You'd be surprised at how handy they are and how much better they are than your cell phone flashlight. And they're $1. For the Walmarts I've been to, you find them in like sporting goods section next to like where the guns are, the ammo, the camping stuff, somewhere in that area. The $1 headlamps, they're great. With that, guys, get out there and be alpha males. Have a blessed day.